This whole episode was about the importance of Easter eggs, and Aaron's like, edit it out. We want to remove personality from this podcast completely. My name is Justin Oberman. Today, I want to talk about the importance of having a personality from the perspective of a Deloitte accountant.
Maybe a monotone could be my eye patch.
You're listening to the Genius Scouts podcast with Justin Oberman and Aaron Zakowski. Join us each week as we bring you exclusive conversations with the business leaders and innovators you need to know about, sharing the secrets that fuel their success and power their personal brands. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Genius Scouts podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Zakowski, together with
Justin Oberman.
In today's episode, we are going to be talking about one of our favorite, I guess you would call it advertising history case studies, the case of David Ogilvy's eye patch. Justin is our resident advertising historian, so I'm going to let him tell the story, and really then we'll get into how it applies to marketing today.
I think you should rephrase that because it's going to be personal branding.
You don't like that phrase, though, personal branding.
I know, but when you think about personal branding, it's kind of interesting because what the idea was that, okay, well, personal branding, so like people should take the lessons of brands and apply them to themselves, right? In order to improve themselves, the way they relate to other people, improve their sales. Big companies spend a lot of money. They spend a lot of money, like Apple, to not look like brands, to actually communicate more like people. So it always felt weird to me that people are trying to be brands while brands are spending so much money trying to be people. And since you're already a person, just use that to your advantage. And I think that this story that we're going to talk about today is a really good example of this dilemma and how to sort of work through it, because it takes an example from advertising history and shows how you can use it for yourself, but then at the same time kind of exposes how really what the brand was doing was acting more like a person. The story that we're going to talk about today is Ogilvy's eye patch. Well, it's not really Ogilvy's eye patch. It's the Man in the Hathaway's shirt eye patch. So this is the iconic ad for anyone that hasn't ever seen it.
And so, by the way, if you're listening and you're not watching the video version of this show, Justin was holding up a picture of a man wearing a white dress shirt, but with an eye patch.
And underneath it says the Man in the Hathaway shirt. And so David Ogilvy, and if you don't know who David Ogilvy is, then you have no right to be listening to this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. David Ogilvy is a legend in advertising. That's all I can say. When he first started Ogilvy and Mather, his agency, this was one of the first accounts that he got. So he was still very heavily involved with the accounts. And they had this idea to sell the shirts. They hired this model with this, like little mustache, and he looks very sophisticated. And they were just going to shoot him wearing the shirts, and David Ogilvy was going to write below it his typical kind of British slant, elegant copy on it, and which went over very well for an American audience. On the way to the photo shoot, David Ogilvy stopped at a drugstore to pick something up, and on the counter, there were eye patches for 2 cents or 3 cents each. And the way David Ogilvy tells the story is he didn't really know what came over him. He's like, He went and he bought one. He bought one. He brought it to the shoot, and then he said to the photographer, "Do me a favor. For every shot that you take of the model without the model, take another one, but have him wear this eye patch." And David Ogilvy's the boss, so it's like, okay. So they did it, and they took all of these shots. And when they laid them out and looked at them, they immediately realized that the shots with the eye patch were the best shots. They made the ad. And the eye patch has absolutely nothing to do with the shirt, right? All it does is make the man wearing the shirt more intriguing. Why is he wearing an eye patch? What happened? So this campaign ran for years. What happened was not only did men run to go get Hathaway shirts, but the shirt sellers also had to sell eye patches. People just started wearing eye patches. Men just started wearing eye patches. It just became like this sort of like weird, cultish, like status symbol. But
so what's the deal? Because what you're telling us is that they're selling white shirts, dress shirts, right? Has nothing to do with eye patches, and yet this eye patch is really what built the success of the company and the success of the product within the advertising.
Well, the success of the ad,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's tied in with personal branding, because what the eye patch does is it makes the person in this ad, the man in the Hathaway shirt, more interesting, right? And so what is the lesson here about bringing this into personal branding? Because the lesson in marketing is clear. Sometimes the thing that makes an ad stand out or grabs the thing that grabs your attention doesn't always have to relate to the so perfectly to the thing that you're selling. I mean, there's a loose thing here. It's a sophisticated man. He's wearing an eye patch. He must have got it hunting or this or that, and he wears sophisticated shirts. It's the story part of it.
The question we've asked a lot of times here within our office when we're talking about our own personal branding, we're talking about the clients that we work with, is what's the eye patch? What eye patch can we bring into this personality to help them to stand out, to be recognizable, to be distinguished, not distinguished in more sophisticated, but distinguished as distinct maybe from other people out there. And so I've always struggled with, how do you find that thing? How do we apply that today in a personal brand? And I'll tell you one of the reasons where I've struggled with it is, in this case, where in marketing, I think this photo was taken in the 60s or so, if I'm not mistaken, give or take. It was a photo that was being put in magazines. It was put in newspapers. This person had to put on an eye patch for an hour, take a photo shoot, take it off, go on with his day. It was really easy to be unique within that. Now, when we're talking about personal branding, we're talking about the part of us that's with us all the time. How do we find that unique thing that we might want to add to our persona, add to our wardrobe, add to something about ourselves that's permanent, that's always with us, it becomes a part of us and makes us unique and stand out in everything that we do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And the thing is, so with the eye patch example, kind of, the problem with it is it's a physical example. And so you always think that whatever the eye patch is that you have for you, has to be something physical. And a lot of times it is. Like, for example, Steve Jobs, his outfit, right? The New Balance, the sneakers, the black turtleneck, or, Gary Vaynerchuk always wearing a baseball cap, or me always wearing a baseball cap with the Genius Scouts logo. The creative director for Liquid Death, if you go to his LinkedIn account, he's got half his face shit. He's got a beard on one side and no beard on the other. Sometimes these things can be physical things, but sometimes they can also be emotive things. They could be the way that you talk. The way you pronounce certain words, the fact that maybe you have a lisp, maybe you have, something. Any of these things can be used sort of to become your eye patch. The key is to embrace it. So it could be the way that you laugh. It could be, there's one guy on LinkedIn who begins his LinkedIn post, I forget it, he begins his LinkedIn post with the same sentence every time, and you think like that is not best practices, but it's become his shtick. It's become his ongoing thing, and so now people love it, right? So it doesn't just have to be a physical thing. It could be an idea. Now the idea or something emotional or about you.
Interesting, because I'll say that the literal part of me has always felt in these conversations, because this is probably the fifth time that we've had this conversation about the eye patch. What can I do to create my eye patch? Should I wear my Genius Scouts shirt all the time? But like, I don't want to wear it all the time. Sometimes I'm going to go places and I'm not going to wear it, right? Or can I wear a hat? Can I get, bright colored glasses? I don't wear glasses. So like, it's not going to stick with me all the time. But the way that you're talking about something which could be in words that we use and phrases that we say, that definitely gets my mind thinking about, what could I take on? Because I don't feel like there's any laugh or accent or anything so unique about my personality.
So I think, and I've said this to you before, so I think that's why you are the perfect example of the man in the Hathaway shirt, because without the eye patch, without the eye patch, he's just the man in the Hathaway shirt, just a sophisticated looking man in a white shirt. Like, and maybe the thing he's playing the cello or this, and so it's okay, maybe that's somewhat interesting, right? But it's the eye patch. So I guess if you actually were paying me and therefore trusting me a little bit more because you were giving me money. And I just said, hey, you know what, Aaron?
I've gone into business with you. That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
well, okay, you got into business with you, but I like Aaron. I just like every time. I just need you to just constantly, every day on your way to work, stop at a flower shop and just always have a carnation pinned to your shirt. That's it. For the rest of your life, you're going to do that, and that will just become a thing. Like everyone will know. Oh, and eventually maybe like one day you'll be at a trade show and you won't have a carnation because you can't get to a flower shop, and you'd be surprised. People will walk up to you and be like, "Hey, where's your carnation, Aaron?"
Except they won't know who I am because I'm an incarnation.
Right, but think about how powerful that is.
Yeah.
Like people come up to me when I'm not wearing my hat, and they're like, "Well, you don't have any ideas today?" I'm like, when I don't wear this hat, sometimes I go out and I'm wearing another hat or whatever, or no hat. People will come up to me and say, "Well, Justin, you don't have any, mind blowing ideas today?"
Mm-hmm.
Like that. You know how powerful that? Like at first I didn't pay attention to that, but then I realized that's so powerful. People are. It's an easy way for people to differentiate me from everybody else. By the way, the people who have the emotional thing too, they also generally have an interesting face to begin with, or they have like the actor personality, or they have something else going for them. That's always on them too. At the end of the day, it is somewhat always physical.
So I guess it's easy if we're creating content online to control. At the time when I'm creating content, I have to have my eye patch. It could be my expression. It could be my accent. It could be my laugh. It could be my hat that I want to put on, or glasses I want to wear, or carnation I want to pin. I think the hard part is when, we want our online persona to match our offline persona. It's very easy to create content. It's a content time. Let's put on the costume, the uniform, right? It's when that needs to go with us every time we walk down the street, every time we go to the supermarket, every time we go to an industry event. You still have to be doing the same thing. It becomes a permanent thing. For me, that sounds really hard, to be doing the same thing all the time, because it's forced a little bit. It doesn't feel natural. And for myself, and I think for many other people I've spoken with, it's about finding that thing, and it's got to stand out. It's got to be bold enough that people notice it. But it's also got to be something you could feel like, at least for the next few years, hopefully longer, I can really stick to.
Yeah, it depends on your personality. So if you can find something that you relate to, that you can do that with, great. If not, then like honestly, just like pick something. Like you look at somebody you idolize, and chances are somebody that you idolize does something like this. You know, some men are doing it. By the way, I've noticed lately, some men are doing it very simply by dressing in the opposite way that all men are dressing. So right now, people dress very casually. So there are a few people on LinkedIn, that we know, like for example, what's his name, Beryl Solomon, always wearing a suit for the most part. Sometimes he's casual, but notice like when he's casual, he's like in a golf cart or something. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to be in a suit in a golf cart, right? But like he's generally always wearing a suit. So sometimes it's just going against the trend or going against the type of thing. And if you're okay with that, if you have that type of personality and you don't really, and you just like it'll grow on you, right? Trust me. As people keep asking, where's the carnation? Where you don't have any good idea, you'll begin to identify yourself with that. I just want to point out something though that you just said about offline, online. There should be no difference. Your online personality should be the same as your offline personality.
Right. But that's where it gets
The
hard.
only place where there should be a difference is actually like when you're home and when you're out in the street. And I think that it's actually very healthy to have that difference. Believe it or not, I think that your personal brand and stuff that you have when you walk out in public and you're putting on a show, you're being a bit of an actor. In your home is where you can be yourself. I don't think that you should be yourself in. Believe it or not, I don't think that a personal brand is about being yourself and in public and stuff like that.
Well, when you think it's be yourself,
This is another episode.
unique.
This is another episode. Right now we're talking about Ogilvy's eye patch.
So I guess again, I guess I come back to, again, I'm someone who doesn't like to always do the same thing all the time. I don't want to wear the same outfit all the time. Sometimes again, I think about it, several days a week, I wear my Genius Scouts t-shirt. Great. But sometimes, I don't want to be pegged as, being casual all the time. Sometimes I want to wear a collared shirt. that consistency.
Isn't that fascinating? Because based on your former Deloitte accountantness, I would peg you as somebody who I very much would find it very efficient to be wearing the same thing all the time. But you're like, no. And like me, and you're like super creative, you think like, oh, for sure, Justin doesn't want to wear the same thing all the time. I actually dream of having a Steve Jobs like closet where it's just like I wake up in the morning, I don't have to think about what I have to wear, and what I wear also not only that becomes iconic of who I am. I dream of that. I'm working towards that right now, so I find that very interesting. But again, like I said, it just needs to be something really subtle, really, really subtle.
Okay, so I think on our next episode we'll come back and we'll assign me some kind of eye patch. What my
Well,
thing.
I think we'll assign you. Yeah, let's see if anybody can begin to notice in future episodes what Aaron's personal eye patch is.
Or if you got any suggestions for me, I'm all
Or
ears.
if you got any suggestions, please DM Aaron or email him at aaron@geniusscouts.com. That's 2 A's, AARON at geniusscouts.com.
There you go. I'm looking forward to getting all
give him
I really want my eye patch. I just don't know what it's going to be. I thought about, I wear a black yarmulke all the time on my head. I thought about maybe I should just get a bright yellow one that matches the Genius Scouts branding all the time. But the reason I haven't done that actually, because I thought about it, is because you don't see it on me. When I'm creating content right now in video, you don't see it. I would have
to. But you would 100% see it if it was yellow right now, because I could see the black. It would stand out. But by the way, just wearing a yarmulke also in a place where not a lot, or in an industry where not a lot of people are openly Orthodox Jewish, say that could be a very simple way of standing out. The owner of Savannah Bananas, Cole, various first name, he constantly always wears a yellow suit, yellow shirt, yellow pants, yellow socks, yellow shoes. Right? So maybe you just need to dress all in yellow.
I'll have to consider that. Anyways, I think that's the episode. I hope people have something to think about for themselves. Would love to hear, we're going to be posting this probably on LinkedIn and some clips and where else, but we'd love to hear how you're thinking about eye patches for yourself and how you would apply this. Your feedback is greatly appreciated as we get into the show. And we look forward to having you listen to the next episode.
Be good. Do good. Brand yourself.
Thanks for tuning in to the Genius Scouts podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more episodes, and if you're ready to take your personal brand to the next level, visit geniusscouts.com.